down on some of the fixed costs.
With cases of COVID-19 rising gradually in India, this could be the new normal for quite some time. But cinema owners hope that this is only a short interval. As India's economy gathers momentum and more people are willing to step out, they hope that their losses will be cut and the show will go on.
PVR Cinemas, one of the largest theatre chains in the country, saw its revenue fall 98% in the September quarter. It's hoping for a decent recovery from mid next year, but it needs a big blockbuster. And it sees the success of the Chinese war epic, The 800, as a sign of good things to come.
This market, China, Japan, where COVID has been contained, you look at the behavior of people, you look at new films, commercial films, shattering all box office records. This is extremely encouraging for a market like India.
Most major movies of 2020 have been postponed until 2021, while others have been released online. But with movie production companies back in the swing of things and the possibility of a COVID-19 vaccine on the horizon, India's once bustling theatres are hoping to be back on their feet again soon. Ishan Garg, CNA, New Delhi.
And Asia now continues. In the next hour, we'll be checking on the top stories, including a lot riding on the vote this afternoon in Malaysia's parliament. Not just much-needed aid for COVID-battered economy, but also the survival of Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin's government. It has at best a slim margin of majority in parliament. If they fail to take his side and clear this budget, that could count as a vote of no confidence. And in football news, he departed too early, but he leaves behind a rich playing legacy and probably a void that will never be filled. We'll get more reaction around the world on the late Diego Maradona.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways. Weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways. It's one of the gravest challenges facing humankind.
Climate change is a super wicked problem.
These places will become uninhabitable.
Now, it's the defining moment of a generation. How will our actions impact the world we live in?
There are actually solutions.
We look at opportunities to create more natural capital.
Join CNA on this special journey with a dedicated prime-time documentary built on the climate crisis. Every Monday on CNA. Also available live and on demand on CNA.Asia and the CNA Insider YouTube channel. Japan Hour, Saturday on CNA. Japan Hour is brought to you by Sumitomo Corporation, ANA, and SMBC. This is Asia Now.
It's 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 New Delhi and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Lo Hui Su at this hour. Malaysian lawmakers set to vote on a crucial $78 billion budget. The vote is seen as a key test for Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin. The highest number of new coronavirus cases in a day since March, health experts in South Korea warn controlling the current third wave of infection could prove more difficult than in the previous round. Football fans around the world grieve the loss of one of the sport's greatest figures as Argentina declares 3 days of national mourning. A boost for Malaysian Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin ahead of the parliamentary vote on his budget today. Members of his coalition now say they will support him, and that should give him the numbers that he needs to get that bill through. The proposed $78 billion budget is seen as vital for Malaysia's COVID-19 recovery next year. The vote could also determine the fate of Mr. Muhyiddin's leadership. The opposition and some lawmakers in the coalition government have voiced their disapproval of this budget. Now, if it's not passed, it means the Prime Minister no longer has the confidence of the majority in the House. But as Melissa Goh explains, Mr. Muhyiddin's party does seem to have garnered enough support to pass the budget.
It appears that Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin's Perikatan Nasional government has garnered enough support to pass the crucial budget for next year, judging from statements released the last couple of days, first from ministers and deputy ministers of the former ruling coalition Barisan Nasional, and also the backbenchers, or more than 110 of them are pledging support for the budget and also expressing confidence in Prime Minister Muhyiddin's continued leadership. Now, there are 222 seats in Parliament. Now, 2 MPs have passed away recently, so it's 220. So the number to watch is 111. Some may abstain, so basically Mr. Muhyiddin just needs to secure more votes than the opposition, and the budget is passed. Now, the opposition, led by PKR President Anwar Ibrahim, had voiced unconditional support, or rather conditional support if amendments are made, while former Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir yesterday said his Pejuang 4 MPs were rejected outright. Now, of course, that's expected from the opposition, but was also hearing from MPs from UMNO, which is Mr. Muhyiddin's largest political ally. How are they going to vote, especially those backbenchers? Now, former Prime Minister Najib Razak is the chairman of UMNO backbenchers. Some 20 of them, up till last night, he said he will wait and see. Now, the Finance Minister, Tengku Zafrul Aziz, is going to be delivering his winding up speech before the vote, scheduled to be cast around 2 p.m. It remains to be seen whether the opposition's demands, including those from UMNO, will be accepted. And these include a blanket automatic extension of debt moratorium and allowing the people to draw from their retirement funds. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, if 2 or 3 UMNO MPs, that's only all it takes, were to vote against Mr. Muhyiddin or vote against the budget will be defeated. And the opposition, unless the opposition MPs were to come to his rescue. Now, a defeat is as good as a no confidence vote against him, and by convention, Mr. Muhyiddin will be forced to resign or advise the king to dissolve the parliament. Now, the king can then decide whether to dissolve and pave the way for snap posts or appoint someone else who he thinks has the majority support.
South Korea has hit a fresh daily record of more than 500 coronavirus cases. That's the highest since March. Yonhap News reported that figure earlier this morning, citing the nation's health minister. The country's daily infections have stayed in triple digits for more than 2 weeks now. Health authorities warn a third wave is underway. CNA's Lim Yun-suk tells us more.
The numbers are rising very quickly here, and it is possible that, it could rise to 1,000 before the end of this month, as many of the experts had early predicted if the spike continues at this rate. Now, health authorities are saying that what is most worrying is that among the total number of infections, area with about 402 cases, with about 208 of them here in the capital Seoul alone. Now, some reports saying that it is very possible the government could enforce stricter social distancing rules if there are no signs that the numbers are going to drop. Now, meanwhile, the military here is taking its own precautionary measures, as we've seen cluster infections reported at a military camp in Yeoncheon, a central border town. Now, the military says as of today, there were 66 newly enlisted soldiers and 4 officers who were confirmed with this virus. And